Listener Elton asked us to do a deep dive into depression and diet, so we've looked at multiple studies.
And before we start, just a crucial reminder, we are not doctors. If you are struggling, please seek professional help.
Right. So I think we have to start with the big picture here. We usually think of depression as, a chemical imbalance.
Or just bad genetic luck.
Exactly. But Dr. Steve Ilardi at the University of Kansas says we might be looking at it all wrong. He calls it a disease of civilization.
Yeah, his whole argument is that our bodies just weren't designed for the 21st century. He brings up the Kaluli people in Papua New Guinea.
And their lives are, by our standards, incredibly harsh.
Incredibly. I mean, high rates of parasitic infections, the constant threat of violence, high infant mortality, just, constant stress.
So you'd expect their depression rates to be just through the roof.
But they're not. When they were assessed with standard diagnostic tools, the rate of clinical depression was basically zero.
Zero.
Wow. The theory is that they don't have that mismatch of our modern lifestyle. The sedentary behavior, the isolation, and, well, especially the modern diet.
Okay, so let's drill down into that. The diet. How can what I eat literally change my brain chemistry?
It really comes down to one word: inflammation.
Inflammation in the brain.
Exactly. Dr. Michael Greger's work highlights this compound called arachidonic acid.
Okay, what is that?
It's an inflammatory omega-6 fatty acid. When you get too much of it, it can trigger what's called neuroinflammation. Your brain gets inflamed.
And where are we getting most of this from?
Well, the biggest sources in a standard diet are chicken and eggs.
Whoa, hold on. Chicken. I mean, we're always told that's the healthy, lean protein. That's a bit hard to believe.
And it is lean, but that's not the whole story. Chemically, it just carries a really high load of this one inflammatory fat.
Dr. Greger has this very graphic metaphor for it.
What's that?
He says we might be stabbing ourselves with a fork 3 times a day. Oof, that paints a picture. But here's the catch, right? We saw this in the University of Bonn data. Depression itself makes you eat badly.
Exactly. It's this vicious cycle. Dr. Rami Nader calls it the energy gap. Depression either kills your appetite completely or it gives you these intense cravings for simple carbs.
Which leads to poor food choices, which then gives you less energy, which makes the depression worse.
It's a classic negative feedback loop.
So, okay, how do we actually prove that changing your diet breaks that loop and helps?
For that, we have to look at the SMILES trial. This was, I think, the most important study we read. It's a randomized controlled trial. They took patients with moderate to severe depression. They split them into 2 groups. One got social support, basically, someone to talk to. The other group got dietary support.
So talking versus eating, what kind of diet?
A modified Mediterranean diet. So lots of vegetables, fruit, legumes, nuts, whole grains, very low in sweets and processed foods.
And what were the results?
It wasn't even close. The social support group, 8% of them achieved remission.
8%.
Okay.
And the diet group?
32%.
32. That is a massive difference. So almost a third of people basically treated their clinical depression by changing what they ate.
And by getting off the junk. Another review we looked at showed that eating a lot of ultra-processed food can increase your depression risk by up to 50%.
So it's not just adding the good stuff, it's taking out the bad stuff.
Both. Definitely both.
Okay, let's talk about some of the good stuff then. Were there any specific superfoods that stood out?
A few really surprising ones. First up, saffron.
The spice.
The spice, yeah. One study directly compared saffron extract to Prozac. It worked just as well for treating the symptoms, but, and this is the key part, it didn't have the common sexual side effects that can come with antidepressants.
That's mind-blowing.
Okay.
What else? What about omega-3s? The advice is always eat more fish.
It is, but it's a bit complicated. Yeah. Omega-3s are vital, for sure, but fish can also be high in things like mercury and PCBs.
Which are neurotoxins. Not great for your brain.
Exactly. So Dr. Greger's point is, why not bypass the fish? Fish only have omega-3s because they eat algae.
So just go straight to the source.
Yep. Algae-based supplements or even just flax seeds. You get all the good stuff without the industrial pollutants.
Okay, one last thing I want to hit on. I saw this word MAO mentioned with berries. What is that?
MAO is short for monoamine oxidase. Think of it like a little enzyme in your brain that cleans up neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine.
Okay.
But sometimes it's too good at its job. It breaks down your happy chemicals too quickly.
And berries stop it.
Berries?
Yeah.
And also leafy greens. They contain phytonutrients that naturally inhibit that enzyme. So yeah, by eating a handful of blueberries, you're literally helping your body preserve its own serotonin.
It's just a totally different way of thinking about food, not just as fuel, but as like active pharmacology.
Right. It makes you wonder if in 10 years, a psychiatrist will be handing you a recipe book along with a therapy referral.
So, if you or someone you love is suffering from depression, you could try a plant based diet for a few weeks and see if it helps. And if that's too difficult, you could try adding berries or nuts or fruit or beans or greens, even just one of them, to your diet. If you're trying to support a family member, remember it helps if the whole family makes the change together.